Yeah, so here we go again. I've had some shit go on. Oh no, swearing in the first few seconds. Oh no. Um, uh, I've had some troubles. Um, Bureaucratically with a service provider. That have already been paid for, and I actually wrote them quite a few emails because sadly they didn't manage to read the first. Which is kind of a bummer, but can't change that, you know. Uh, it was kind of rather infuriating, surprisingly enough, to write emails that turned out to not be read before the response was written. Just because I could tell, because I'd addressed the points they'd mentioned in their response, and they ignored the fact I addressed them, which is like, come on, if I want to talk to a wall, I'm not going to write an email to a human. I can just write to ChatGPT, or talk to a wall, literally. Just been shopping. The time is now 12 to 8 in the PM. I think I've found a stable pace I can maintain at work, like longish term. The only thing I worry about, which realistically will be a future Ben problem, but it will be a future Ben problem most certainly, is the aspect of I could sustain this indefinitely. Just eventually I'd probably get a midlife crisis and ask myself, what have I been doing? Because I'm happy in the moment, but I'm not building anything. At least not without an income, which is what I'm not getting as an intern. With a job, I might be happy because I might actually be able to build life, I guess. I mean, I have this car. I am very grateful for that, but beside that, I don't got much. And I reckon there is some deeper level of fulfillment necessary rather than just living in the moment. Just because one can't work 8-hour days, sometimes 9, in all ages. Like, eventually one will grow to the point where one don't want to be doing that no more. Because, surprise, I leave my flat just after the sunrise, even though it's already February. So we aren't far from the spring equinox, I guess. About a month away, actually. A bit over a month, but still. Yeah, like eventually one will wonder what have I been doing, which is why I don't know if I'm gonna pursue this later on, but we'll find out. I'm gonna read you some excerpts of the emails I wrote because I am proud of what I wrote, because I really have a hard time with this bureaucracy shit. Yeah. Fellow person, I am writing because my accounts are blocked. As reason, according to your website, it's because I'm behind on fee payments. I'm translating this on the fly because I'm German. Surprise. There was never a payment reminder or anything of that kind. Had this come before a full blockage of all my accounts, we could have addressed this before. But here we are. The reason you haven't gotten payment for the past 1.5 months, we were behind 1.5 months on payment intentionally, because we had already paid for services that had not been rendered, which is like absolute no cool. And they hadn't been rendered for 10 months now, so it's kind of, they were asking for it. The reason only 1.5 months behind is because the moment we reach 2 months with me being behind on payment, they have reason to exmatriculate me. And as I believe I have been a pain in the arse for them, rightfully so, though, it might be worth considering doing that for them. So I don't want to take my chances and don't want to get behind more than 1.5 months. That's like the worst I can do realistically. Have reminded many times unsuccessfully. You guys still have shit to do. So already paid services were not rendered. Da, 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 da. As a sign of good faith, we've paid the currently owed dues, which we had done. Like, by the time they received the email, all the dues had been paid, all the fees. Based on our experience with you in the past, we are not paying you advance for next month, because you're still missing services that have already been paid. Da, 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 da. Kind regards. Then in their response, even though it's signed first name, last name, best of wishes, first name, last name, they wrote dear first name. So I said fellow first name, because we're all adults. I'm their client, so if they think they can just go informal on me, I'll go informal on them. I mean, I don't mind. Because their response had been, it's because you still owe money, is that your accounts are blocked. So, fellow you person first name, informal you. As already noted in previous correspondence, which was the email I just paraphrased, as a sign of good faith, we have paid the currently owed fees, which is kind of quoting oneself one email later is a real bummer, but obviously they didn't read it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have mentioned that we were behind on dues, because we're not at that point in time. Also, we never got payment reminder. This opens up the question: with which method did you remind to pay? Because it also said, oh yeah, you're on payment reminding level 3, which is not right, because never got payment reminder. You seem to have missed this paragraph of the previous correspondence, so we ask you to please reevaluate it, which is like a very nice way of saying, please read emails, come on, it's not that hard to read. You're an academic institution. Reading is taught in primary school. There is quite a few years in between you have to do to be able to actually work in an academic institution, so one would think they'd be able to read. Then I wrote one I didn't send because I felt was too angry. Fellow you person, anyone else reading this? Hello, to whom it may concern. The bank transfers had the corresponding furthest temporally furthest open month in their use. The gap in payment was maintained intentionally. Previously rendered services, paid for services were not rendered. All of this in caps, of course. But I never sent this. What I then did send is almost corporate rude. I don't know. But fellow person, we understand you potentially have a lot of things to do, a lot of things on your plate. So one ask. Please read the history of this correspondence carefully. I can only explain it to you. I can't understand it for you. I mean, there's no point in continuously repeating myself if they aren't reading it. So this is almost insultive, I guess. But I felt necessary, and that was after I calmed down. So Then I repeat what I would have said in the message about use case for bank transfers, furthest open month being in those. The reason for the delay in payment consists further on, remains, which is why the delay in payment remained until yesterday, Sunday 2024-02-18. So that's ISO 9601 and DIN 5008. In my opinion, the best way of writing dates, by far the best dating method. We've simply paid the fees as a sign of good faith and as a sign of acting in good faith. we'd be happy if you were to fulfill your side of the contract, and render services already paid for. In future payment reminders, no matter the origin of the delay in payment, would much be appreciated. Kind regards. It's kind of this here, but in nice, I guess. I mean, I understand they might just be incompetent, and I understand it's the least bad assumption, but I really don't want to make it. Because that assume everyone who employed them and who employed the people who employed them, who hired them, was incompetent also. And that's like, I don't want to lose my faith in humankind. So I went with the next less bad assumption, which is, hey, you probably got a lot on your plate, so please just give it a read, will you? I don't want to add more to your plate. Obviously, I can only explain it to you. I can't understand it for you. It's kind of rude, I guess. But they were really asking for it with not reading emails. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Since then, they have responded with, oh, all your accounts have been unlocked, which was like 2 days delayed, which shouldn't happen, considering there was reason for not paying. And the head of this place have reminded the person rendering the services that the services are to be rendered, which is kind of whimsical. So until the services are rendered, I'm missing some grades still for uni. I guess we'll build up that payment gap again. And whenever we get a payment reminder, we'll send the same email. Because fucking hell, I mean, come on. Can't be that hard, you know. They completely did not understand it was intentional, even though I messaged them when they originally mentioned the fact that we were behind on payments. It's like, no memory whatsoever. And apparently of the entire institution, my locale is by far the worst, according to the people gathering feedback that I have connections with. I did say, I mean, theoretically, your interest should be your peers, not the institution. You could just consider anonymizing some of the complaints you've gotten and publishing them, but it's too toxic for them. Like, they like kissing ass, and I understand why. I mean, it do open up some opportunities for the future. And they aren't in my locale, so they don't have the problem themselves. It's kind of just a bummer, though, because, I mean, services paid for, not rendered, is pretty shit. And the funny thing is, we keep paying for services, even though past services have not been rendered. Which is a lot of good faith, in my opinion. Like, there's only so much one can do, really. I'm gonna have a smoke. Oh yeah, on smoking and all. As I'm lighting a smoke. Ever since I noticed my accounts were blocked, which was Sunday, so 3 days ago, 3 nights ago. My smoking, well, and I had the police stop, which was the previous session prior to this one. Would have been 91 if I'm not mistaken. This should be 92. I might be one off, we'll see. Together with the plod pulling me over and interrogating me and all, I found out later in the same day my accounts were blocked. And ever since then, my smoking indicator and my shower indicator have been real quite shit. I did manage to shower yesterday. I did do my laundry, but I still haven't folded it. And my smoking behaviour have been approximately 145-150% of the normal. Admittedly, I am smoking a lot of active cigarettes, not roll-ups. But But I always have the option of active cigarettes as I cross the border to where they aren't taxed nearly as heavily to get diesel on a regular basis. It's just I much prefer roll-ups. They're more pleasant to smoke, they last longer, they're cheaper. Well, in my case, they cost about the same because these aren't taxed that much from right across the border. But my smoking indicator have been hella up. I have total spreadsheet going back about 1,250 days of my cigarettes consumed per day, coffees consumed per day, and showers per day. With cigarettes, I also have the differentiation of while in the car and while outside the car, because obviously while driving I do not interact with the phone, which means I have a pre-counted amount in the front, and I push a button and say how many remain, or how many I smoked, which I'll figure out by how many remain and how many I started with. That way I only have to remember how many I started with. Yeah, I did also do a driving logbook for like a year or so, but weren't worth it, was too much user input required. But it's a real good indicator of state of mind, health, mental health, and physical health. And I've been really stressed in the past few days. I suspect today is going to be a lower day, just because at work we've got work to do. Like I was busy until I left, even in the afternoon, which I guess I'm happy about because I really don't like hanging about without nothing to do. It's just slightly concerning. I mean, obviously smoking's not good for your health. It will kill you eventually, probabilistically. Don't smoke. Smoking kills. But I need it at this time, and I acknowledge I'm human. Humans are flawed. But the only reason I started the spreadsheet, even though these days I am using it for mental health indicator and so on, was because I acknowledged the fact that one day I would want to quit or reduce my smoking. I have tried reducing my smoking once and I did manage, but since then it have gone back up ever since I stopped giving a shit about reducing it. Usually my median average is about 23 a day, which is too much, but any smoking is too much really. I mean, it's all not healthy, surprise, so meh. I'm human. Deal with it. Then again, I do not smoke in the car, for example, if I have non-smokers on board, unless they explicitly state you may smoke. And I don't ask them might I smoke. I wait for them to state you may smoke. Just because I don't want to have to live with having increased someone's risk of dying prematurely, simply so I can satisfy an addiction. It's not very cool. So I'm really quite happy I managed to do my grocery shopping. I've been run low on milk for the past few days. Last week, I believe, session 90. I had gone shopping in the morning for groceries. Yeah, it's quite something, eh? Beside the income, because I'm just an intern, I actually feel like I'm a grown adult for a change, which feels, I guess, odd. Besides an income, I am fucking grown adult. It's a weird concept. I mean, here I am, quarter century of age. It's crazy. Insane in the brain. And plod driving down a road somewhere near here, I guess. I got some more dinner in a bottle again. Not bothering to remove the label today. Oh, the plod actually just came up behind me, even though they hadn't been there, so they must have been on a property behind me, because this cul-de-sac. I come here because there's not much traffic, surprise. It's hella expensive, this dinner in a bottle stuff, but it do taste alright, and it do what it says on the bottle, so that means you're stuffed for a few hours. Oh, stuffed reminds me of something. Today at work, a person across the yard who do catering, first off they got their fire safety inspection passed, and they had cooked, and there was food remaining, so they brought all of us food, which was quite nice. We even reserved a plate for my chief, even though he wasn't on his lunch break yet, or because he wasn't on his lunch break yet. They were so kind as to remain working, so we all could go and eat food. They ended up not wanting any, so I ate their portion as well, and I was hella stuffed after. It was vegan, but it was better than some non-vegan food I've had before, which sounds odd to say, because I like playing the trope of the boomer. But decent food, like I eat that on a daily basis. Probably healthy as well, you know. That's the magic about it. In the driving I've done from work to shops and from the shops to here, I've listened to a total of 2 songs on loop, just because I guess that's the way my mind works and I like it. One is Extreme Speed. Let me see if I can see by whom it is. By Moorish Delta 7 MD7, a early noughties rapper from the UK. To be more precise, from pretty sure England. They don't sound Scottish or Welsh, so probably the London area to be more precise even, but I don't actually know that. And oddly enough, quite some of the other artists featured on this compilation, this Tim Westwood 2002 compilation, Westwood, are not documented on the interwebs much at all, even though that was like the beginnings of what I'd call the interwebs, like Google existed. That's like a void within the history document on the internet. There's one blog post mentioning psychic phenomena. Oh, what's the song called? Don't remember. I might be able to look it up on the watch. Whew, magic. On phone, because obviously I can't look it up on my phone because you are the phone. Odds are I won't find it. Yeah, I'll probably just give up finding it. Too many albums on my phone. Because I like music, I've downloaded hella albums because I like the option of playing whatever. When I say download, I mean, of course, legally using streaming services. Besides this album, which you cannot do streaming services, so I bought the CD and ripped it onto the phone, because who wants to use a Walkman these days? CD Walkman, or tape Walkman for a fact. Discman or Walkman. Like, come on. Barely anyone got wired headphones anymore. I mean, I like wired headphones because the good news is they'll always work. They'll never run out of battery, you know. Though I haven't removed the label, I am still making sure to cover the brand name. Just because I'm not being paid. So, why endorse them? Then again, it do what I say on the tin. So, I could mention it, I guess. Nah. I might as well. It's, I believe it's pronounced Yfood. No, it's Y-Food. It's hella expensive for what it provide. But it's good for people like me who forget to eat otherwise. This is not an endorsement. Make your own purchasing decisions. I am not affiliated with them in any way, size, shape, or form. Psychic phenomena. What's the song? I'm still wondering about it. Like, haven't come to the conclusion yet. But I'll probably come across it. Yeah. Like, I believe I can mid-term sustain what I'm doing now. If I'm paid well, I might be able to sustain it long-term. Perhaps because I'm autistic. But I like the repetitivity, what word? Of the work. Yeah, I know. It's got a solid structure to it and all. Jobs come in, jobs go out. Make sure all the stuff is fine, which I'm really quite good at. I've noticed just about any defect that does exist in things that has existed for a long time. And I believe I've reached a point where with 80% of the stuff we have, I know the defects that persist. Usually they aren't mission critical, but I know them, so yay. Don't have to worry about them, and I will notice if there's new ones. I am also able to tell my chief with confidence, when I handed this out, that was in the bag, which is nice. Just because I know that is very much an option. I am more conscientious when I hand out things or pack them. It's satisfying within itself, I believe. Then again, that's being satisfied because of doing a good job. I believe I talked about that within the past 10 solo therapy sessions, I reckon. Yeah, it's funny how that works. Once I get home, I would like to sit down and drink some tea. I suspect I won't find the inner peace to do so. I'm too riled up, and I probably will remain. We'll see. But that's fine. I guess I'll get to it eventually. I've been drinking too little tea. Like, I haven't drunk tea this month. Probably not the second half of last month, just because it takes time, you know. And it's expensive, but I already paid for it, so it don't cost me anything extra to drink tea now. In fact, if I don't drink it within the next couple of 3 years, I'll have spent the money for nothing. Funny how that worked, really. Yeah, I'm just going to start the engine because I suspect the battery's getting low, because today I am using the 12-volt car light as well as a camping light over here. I don't have anything for depth, so my jacket just vanished into the background, but it's better than nothing, especially considering it's still very low effort production, because it's not a production, it's simply me talking. That's what I like it for. I'm actually not going to have a smoke. I'm not trying to reduce my smoke, but I don't want to artificially inflate it. And I'll have a smoke while I'm driving anyway, so there's no need to have one now. Anyways, I hope if you have mental health or health indicators, they are not excessive or excessively low. Hope you manage to stick near your aspired median or real median. Stay safe. Cheerio.